I never wanted him, until the night my best friend's husband said something he shouldn't have said. Have you ever heard words that completely shattered everything you thought you knew about yourself? Words that awakened feelings you'd spent years suppressing. This is the story of how a late-night confession in an empty kitchen changed everything I believed about desire, boundaries, and the person I thought I was. What my best friend's husband told me that night wasn't just shocking. It forced me to confront a truth about myself I'd been running from. And by the end of this story, you'll understand why sometimes the most dangerous confessions aren't the ones we hear, but the ones we're forced to make to ourselves. Before we dive into what happened that night, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because every week I bring you real, emotionally powerful stories like this one that will make you question everything about love, desire, and the secrets we keep. And if this story moves you or makes you feel something deep, smash that like button right now. It helps this story reach others who need to hear it. Trust me, you're going to want to stay until the very end for this one. My name is Lauren. I'm 31 years old, and 6 weeks ago, my best friend's husband said something to me that I can't unhear, can't forget, and can't figure out what to do with. This story takes place in a kitchen late at night, in those quiet moments after a party when most people have gone home and the house feels suspended between celebration and silence. It's about words that should never have been spoken, about a confession I never asked for and didn't want to hear, about how a single sentence can rewrite your understanding of someone you thought you knew, of yourself, and of boundaries you believed were unbreakable. My best friend Autumn and I have been close since we were roommates in college over a decade ago. She's the kind of friend who knows all your histories and still chooses you, the person you call first with good news or bad. The relationship that survived distance and life changes, and all the things that usually fracture friendships formed in your early 20s. Autumn married Ben 4 years ago after dating him for 2 years before that. I'd been at their wedding as maid of honor, had watched them exchange vows, and genuinely believed they were building something beautiful and lasting. Ben had always been exactly what he appeared to be in my perception, Autumn's husband. A man I saw regularly at social gatherings but never thought about independently. Ben was a high school English teacher, patient and thoughtful in ways that complemented Autumn's more intense personality. He was the kind of person who listened more than he talked, who thought carefully before speaking, who seemed to genuinely care about the people in Autumn's life. For 4 years, Ben had been a constant presence in my life, at dinners and holidays and casual hangouts, but always as part of the unit that was Autumn and Ben, rather than as an individual I considered separately. I'd never felt anything inappropriate toward Ben. He existed firmly in the category of off-limits, not because I had to actively resist attraction, but because attraction was simply impossible given who he was. Autumn's husband. That was his entire identity in my world, a categorization so complete that noticing him in any romantic way would have been as unlikely as suddenly being attracted to my own brother. The boundary was that clear, that established, that unquestionable, until it wasn't. Until 6 weeks ago when Ben said something that made all my careful categorization collapse. It happened on a Saturday evening in early November. Autumn had organized a dinner party at their house. Nothing formal, just 10 close friends sharing food and wine and conversation. The evening had been lovely in that effortless way good parties are, where the right combination of people and food and atmosphere creates something memorable. Around 11, people started leaving. Early morning commitments, babysitters waiting, the usual reasons. By 11:30, everyone was gone except me. I'd lingered to help Autumn clean up, something I always did after parties at her house. It was our rhythm, established over years of friendship. But that night, Autumn was exhausted, more exhausted than usual, fighting off a cold she'd been battling all week and probably shouldn't have hosted through. Around midnight, after we'd cleared the dining table and loaded the dishwasher with the first round of dishes, Autumn announced she was going to bed. "I'm sorry to abandon you," she said, her voice hoarse, "but I'm completely wiped. Do you mind finishing the kitchen? Ben can help. He's just walking the Johnsons to their car." I told her of course not, to go rest, that Ben and I could handle the remaining dishes and locking up. Autumn hugged me goodnight, thanked me for always being there, and disappeared upstairs. I heard her footsteps on the stairs, then the bedroom door closing, then silence. The house settled into that particular quiet that follows parties, the absence of voices and laughter making the space feel larger and emptier than it actually was. I was standing at the sink, washing the last of the wine glasses by hand, because Autumn had nice crystal that couldn't go in the dishwasher, when I heard Ben come back inside, heard him lock the front door, turn off the porch light, move through the house turning off lamps, and checking that everything was secure for the night. I expected Ben to either help me finish the dishes or say goodnight and head upstairs to join Autumn. Expected the evening to end the way it always ended, casual farewells, plans to see each other soon, nothing remarkable or memorable. But Ben didn't help with dishes or say goodnight. He walked into the kitchen and just stood there in the doorway. I could feel his presence even though my back was to him, could sense him watching me. Something about the quality of his stillness made the hair on the back of my neck stand up, made me aware that this moment was different from the hundreds of similar moments we'd shared over 4 years. I turned around, a clean wine glass still in my hands, water dripping onto the floor unnoticed. Ben was standing in the kitchen doorway, lit from behind by the hallway light so his face was partially shadowed. But even in the dim light, I could see his expression was strange. Not quite anguish, but something close. A vulnerability that was almost painful to witness. Something raw and unguarded that I'd never seen on his face before in 6 years of knowing him. "Are you okay?" I asked, setting down the glass and drying my hands on a dish towel. "You look upset. Is something wrong?" Ben shook his head but didn't speak immediately, just stood there, his hands clenched at his sides, his jaw tight like he was physically restraining himself from saying something. The silence stretched longer, became truly uncomfortable. I actually started to worry that something serious had happened. "Ben?" I prompted gently, concerned now. "You're starting to scare me a little. What's going on?" He took a breath, let it out slowly like he was trying to calm himself. And when he finally spoke, his voice was low and rough in a way I'd never heard from him before. "I need to tell you something. Something I've been trying not to say for over a year. Something that's been eating at me and that I know I should keep to myself, but I can't anymore. I just need to say it out loud once, to you, even though saying it is probably the worst decision I could make." My heart started beating faster, some instinct telling me I didn't want to hear whatever Ben was about to say, that once certain words were spoken, they couldn't be taken back. "Ben, maybe you shouldn't," I started, already trying to prevent whatever confession was coming. But Ben shook his head. "Please, just let me say this. Then we can both pretend I never said it and go back to normal. But I need to say it once, or I think I'm going to lose my mind." The desperation in his voice made me stop trying to interrupt, made me just stand there, dish towel still clutched in my hands, waiting for whatever words were about to irrevocably alter our relationship. Ben took another breath, met my eyes, and said the sentence that changed everything. "I think about you constantly, Lauren. Every single day. Every moment. You're in my head when I wake up and when I go to sleep and during every quiet moment in between. I think about you when I'm teaching and when I'm driving and when I'm lying in bed next to Autumn. And I know that's wrong. I know I'm married to your best friend. I know nothing can or should ever happen between us, but I needed you to know that you're not invisible to me, that I see you in ways I shouldn't see you, that you matter to me in ways that go far beyond friendship or my relationship with Autumn. And if you've made it this far in the story, hit that like button right now, because what happens next is going to shock you even more. This is where everything I thought I knew about myself started to crumble. The words hung in the air between us. Heavy, undeniable, impossible to misinterpret. Ben had just confessed feelings for me, had admitted to thinking about me constantly, obsessively even, had essentially told me that his marriage to my best friend coexisted with an emotional attachment to me that he'd been hiding for over a year. I couldn't breathe. My heart was racing so fast I could feel my pulse in my throat. My hands were shaking, the dish towel dropping to the floor. My mind was racing, trying to process what I'd just heard. "Ben, you can't," I managed finally, my voice barely above a whisper. "You can't say things like that. Autumn is my best friend. Your wife. You can't tell me you think about me constantly when—" "I know," Ben interrupted. "I know exactly how wrong it is. I know telling you was selfish. I know it puts you in an impossible position. But Lauren, I've been carrying this for over a year and it's destroying me. Pretending I don't feel what I feel. Acting normal when being in the same room with you makes my heart race. Watching Autumn talk about you, confide in you, love you as her best friend while I'm sitting there thinking things I have no right to think. He took a step into the kitchen. Do you know how many times I've wanted to text you? Not about logistics for some party or casual friendly conversation, but just to talk to you, to know what you're thinking about, to be part of your day in ways I'm not entitled to be. Do you know how many times I've had to stop myself from finding excuses to see you without Autumn there? How many times I've caught myself watching you at gatherings and had to consciously look away before anyone noticed? The confessions kept coming, each one making the situation more impossible, making it clear this wasn't a passing attraction, but something Ben had been actively struggling with for months, something that had consumed him to the point where keeping silent had become unbearable. When did this start? I asked. When did you start feeling this way? Ben ran his hands through his hair. I don't even know exactly. It wasn't sudden. It was gradual. Little moments over time that accumulated until one day I realized I was looking forward to seeing you more than was appropriate. That I was thinking about you when you weren't around. That Autumn mentioning you would make my heart skip. Small things that individually meant nothing but together meant everything had changed for me. He paused. I remember the moment I consciously acknowledged it to myself. It was about 14 months ago. We were all at that restaurant celebrating Autumn's promotion. You were telling a story about something that happened at your office, and you were so animated and passionate, and I caught myself just staring at you, really seeing you, and I realized I wasn't listening to your story anymore. I was just watching you, thinking about how alive you looked, how much I wanted to know everything you were thinking and feeling, and that's when I knew I was in trouble. I tried to make it go away, Ben continued. I swear I tried. I started avoiding you when I could, made excuses when Autumn wanted to invite you over, tried to create distance, but that just made it worse, made me think about you more, made every interaction we did have feel more intense because they were rarer. I'm not telling you this because I expect anything, Ben said. I'm not asking you to leave your life or for me to leave mine. I'm not suggesting we act on this or betray Autumn. I just needed you to know. Needed to stop pretending you're just Autumn's friend when the truth is so much more complicated. Stop, I said, finding my voice finally. Stop talking. Stop telling me things I can't unhear. Stop putting this on me when I never asked for it and don't want to carry it. This isn't fair, Ben. None of this is fair. Ben's expression shifted to something that looked like shame, mixed with desperate hope. You're right. I'm sorry. This was selfish and wrong, and I never should have said anything. I'll go. We'll pretend this conversation never happened. I just couldn't keep it inside anymore. He turned to leave, and I should have let him go. Should have ended the conversation there before any more damage was done. But I heard myself speaking. Do you love Autumn? The question stopped Ben in his tracks. He turned back to face me. Yes, I genuinely love my wife. That's what makes this so impossible. I'm not unhappy in my marriage. Autumn is wonderful. Our life together is good. But you? He stopped himself. This isn't about Autumn being insufficient. This is about you being something I didn't expect and don't know what to do with. You're saying you love your wife, but also have feelings for me, I said slowly. That both things exist simultaneously. Yes, Ben admitted. And I know that sounds like a terrible excuse, but it's the truth. My feelings for Autumn are real. My feelings for you are also real. And they exist in this impossible space where I can't act on one without destroying the other. The kitchen suddenly felt too small, too intimate. I should leave, I said. This conversation can't continue. You've said what you needed to say. Now we both have to figure out how to live with it. Ben stepped aside, but as I moved past him, he spoke again. Do you feel anything? Anything at all? Or is this completely one-sided? Because if you tell me you feel nothing, I can work with that. But if there's any chance that you feel even a fraction of what I feel, I need to know. And here's where I have to be completely honest with you. And this is the part that changed everything for me. Because standing there in that doorway, close enough to Ben that I could see the vulnerability in his expression, I found I couldn't lie. I don't know what I feel, I admitted quietly. I've never allowed myself to think of you that way. You're Autumn's husband. You exist in a category where attraction isn't possible because it's so clearly wrong. But now that you've said this, I don't know. I can't think clearly enough to know what I feel beyond confused and scared and angry that you've put us both in this position. You're not saying you feel nothing, Ben said, and there was relief in his voice. You're saying you don't know, which means there might be something there that you've been suppressing. Don't, I said. Don't turn my uncertainty into hope for something that can never happen. Even if I did feel something, and I'm not saying I do, what difference would it make? You're married to my best friend. Nothing can happen. So what I feel or don't feel is irrelevant. It's not irrelevant to me, Ben said. Knowing I'm not alone in this, even if we can never act on it, would make carrying it bearable. That's selfish, I said. You're asking me to confess feelings I might have just so you feel better about your own feelings. That's not fair. You're right, Ben admitted. Nothing about this is fair. I'm sorry. I never should have said anything. But you did, I said. You told me. You made this my problem too, and I don't know if I can forgive you for that. I don't know if I can look at you the same way. I don't know if I can be around you and Autumn together knowing what you've told me. I grabbed my purse and left without responding to his apology. Got in my car and sat there for 5 minutes trying to calm down enough to drive. And then I went home and didn't sleep for the entire night, my mind replaying Ben's words over and over. That was 6 weeks ago. 6 weeks of carrying Ben's confession like a weight that gets heavier every day. 6 weeks of avoiding Autumn and Ben's house, declining invitations with increasingly transparent excuses. 6 weeks of Autumn asking if something's wrong, if she's done something to upset me, if our friendship is okay. 6 weeks of lying and saying everything's fine when nothing is fine. 6 weeks of not responding to the single text Ben sent 2 days later saying, I'm sorry. I never should have said anything. Can we please forget it happened? Because I can't forget it happened. Can't unhear his words or unknow what he told me. And here's what I need you to understand. What I'm finally ready to admit after 6 weeks of carrying this alone. 6 weeks of analyzing my own response to Ben's confession, of trying to figure out what I actually feel, now that his words have forced me to consider him as someone separate from Autumn, of lying awake at night replaying the conversation and wondering if I should have handled it differently. The truth is, Ben's words awakened something in me I didn't know was there. Not desire exactly, or not just desire, but awareness. Suddenly Ben isn't invisible anymore. I think about him when I shouldn't, wonder what he's doing, what he's thinking, whether he regrets telling me. I catch myself remembering the way his voice sounded when he said he thought about me constantly. I notice myself getting dressed more carefully before seeing Autumn, aware that Ben will probably be there, and part of me, a part I'm ashamed of, wants him to notice me. I never wanted Ben. For 4 years, I genuinely never wanted him, never thought of him romantically. Never imagined what it would be like to be with him, until the night he said something he shouldn't have said, until words spoken in a quiet kitchen late at night made me see him differently. His confession didn't just reveal his feelings, it awakened something in me, made me wonder what I've been suppressing, made me aware of Ben in ways I never was before, and now I don't know what to do. Don't know if I should tell Autumn and destroy her marriage. Don't know if I should confront Ben and demand we address this properly. Don't know if I should simply continue avoiding them until the feelings fade, if they fade. 6 weeks of carrying this secret. 6 weeks of Ben's words echoing in my mind. 6 weeks of wondering what happens next. Some words can never be taken back. Some confessions change everything, even when nothing physical happens. And I'm still trying to figure out how to live with what he said. If this story moved you, if it made you think about boundaries and desire and the secrets we keep, do me a favor right now. Hit that like button, share this video with someone who needs to hear it, and drop a comment telling me what you would do in this situation. Would you tell your best friend? Would you confront him again? Would you keep the secret? I read every single comment, and I want to know what you think. And if you want more stories like this, real emotional journeys that make you question everything you thought you knew about love and relationships, subscribe and hit that notification bell. I post new stories every week that will grip you from start to finish. Thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for being here. And remember, Sometimes the most dangerous confessions aren't the ones we hear, but the ones we're forced to make to ourselves. The end.